Advanced math, final review. Guys, today we're working on Unit 11. So open up your packets. You have your work out. Advanced math, final review, Unit 11. I'm ready to take questions. Bless you. 15. Yes. 7. Yes. 9. 8. Did I hear a 1?
Yeah, number 1.
Okay, starting off with number 1. Sketch and list the characteristics. Y equals negative 1 over 20, quantity of x minus 3 squared plus 4. Okay, first thing is, it's only 1 squared. There's only one shape of our conics. There's 4 conics. There's only one of them that has 1 squared. What shape is it? Parabola. I heard somebody say it. Parabolas are the only one that have only x squared or only y squared. Put your cell phones away, please. So, taking a look here, if it's x being squared, is it the up or down type parabolas or the sideways? It's up or down. Because it's negative, it is down. Okay. First thing we typically find is the vertex. Opposite of the inside, outside stays the same. What is that? 3, 4. I'm going to pause here and put this up really quick. This one here, number 2 on your packet, is this one an original type up or down, or is this a sideways? And it's positive, so which way is it opening? To the right. Now be very careful. It's still opposite same, but what is your negative 1, negative 3? Who said it? Good job, Maddie. Do you guys understand why it's negative 1, negative 3? Because this is the y with the y, so that goes with the y, or in the y spot, putting the negative 1 in the x spot. Okay, this one. X is squared, so we're back to opening upward, is positive. What's the vertex here if there's nothing in parentheses? 0, comma 2. Make sense? Okay, back to this one. The next thing we find is the line of symmetry or the axis of symmetry. And if it's opening up or down, it's going to be a vertical line. Is that x equals or y equals? And x equals 3. Okay. Next thing is the focus, which is a point. And directrix, which is a line. Okay. So we're going to go right 3, up 4, and open downward. Now it just said sketch, and remember it is multiple choice, so as long as you kind of roughly know what it should look like. Right 3, 1, 2, 3, up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you guys said it's opening down. Not needed for the test, but does anybody remember, ignore the negative, what the 1 over 20 means? Is it really wide or really thin?
Really wide.
Really wide is correct. Well, you have to know about you have to remember the wide, thin, normal stuff for the test, for the final. No, you'll need to know it's opening down. When you're matching the graphs, when they're asking you for bits and pieces, will you need to know how to find these bits and pieces?
Yeah.
Yes. Focus. Yes. The smaller the number, ignore the negative. The smaller the fraction, the smaller the number is getting, the wider it gets. The bigger it gets, like say it was a 3, a 4, a 5, or 20, bless you. The reason it's really thin is because say it was the negative 20, when you go over 1, you're shooting down at a really fast rate when the number's big, like 20, 30. You barely move over, you're increasing at a really fast rate, so it's really thin. Yeah? Well, you need to understand and know that for the final. No, you took a final on that already, back in Math 2. Wide, thin, normal. Okay. Focus and directrix, what do I need to first find? There's a name. Focal length? Okay, so focal length, there was a formula. C equals 1 over. Okay, will you need to know that or remember that for the test? Yes, because they might give you this and say, what is the focus? Do you need to know this in order to find the focus? Okay, what is it? 1 over, I don't remember if I used C or F with you guys. Was it C? Okay. What's the absolute value of A, bless you, in this problem? Okay, so that C equals 1 over, what is that? 4 over 20 is 1 over 5? So C equals what? 5. All right. From here, I'm going to go up and down 5. I always run along the line of symmetry. Bless you. For the focus, will I go up 5 or down 5? Is it always down for the focus?
No.
Is it always inside
Yeah.
for the focus? Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What is that ordered pair? Still 3. 3 what? -1. All right, directrix. I didn't give myself much room. Which way do I move for the directrix? Back to the vertex, I go up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I go up 5 and put another star, a line, or a dotted line. Sorry, another point or a dotted line. Dotted line. And this is my directrix. This is horizontal, so is that x equals or y equals? And what is it? Y equals 9. So if on the test, on the final, it's not going to ask you all of this in one problem. I may give you this and say, what is the vertex? 3, 4. What is the line of symmetry? X equals 3. Those are pretty easy. What is the focus? You'd have to do this extra work, maybe draw a rough sketch and get 3, -1. What's the directrix? Same thing. You do some of the side work, maybe draw a rough sketch and get y equals 9. Make sense? Okay. Really quick, we've talked about this before. When you're running up and down, do you agree I went up and down for my focus and directrix? When I go up and down, what value is changing?
Y.
The y value? And how far up and down did I move? 5. So if you did 4 plus 5 and 4 minus 5 as a double checker, you get 9 and -1. Do you just have to know where those two numbers go? Yes. Okay. Questions on number 1? Okay. Number 7. 7, is it a write the equation in descriptive form? Okay. 25x squared plus 4y squared plus 100x minus 40y plus 100 equals 0. And another reminder that notes are still online, so you can still go back and watch stuff if needed. Okay. What's the process called to get this in descriptive form? Starts with the C. C-O-M-P. C-O-M-P-L. Thank you. Complete the square. All right. Guys, before we go through and complete the square, there's 2 squares. Is there any way this is a parabola?
No.
If x and y are both being squared? No. They're both positive. They both have the same sign. That's positive 25, positive 4. Is there any way it's a hyperbola? No, because hyperbolas have 2 squares, but what here? A negative. One of them's negative. Okay, so it's not a hyperbola. That leaves circle or ellipse. Which one is it, and how do we know? Okay, he said ellipse because these 2 leading coefficients are not the same. Do you guys agree with him? So if they were both 25, what would we call it? A circle. If they were both 4 or both the same, it would be a circle. Okay, so we know we're trying to get it. It's a descriptive form for an ellipse, and we have to get our like variables together. 25x squared plus 100x plus 4y squared minus 40y. And what do I do with this guy right here who has no variable? Move it to the other side. Okay, what do I have to do here before I start to put the plus blanks in? Before I take out, good. And I don't want to take out a 25x, but just a 25. Take out the leading coefficient. X squared plus what? 4x, and now I can put my plus blank, and what goes in the blank? Can you guys tell me how you got 4? Half. divided by 2 and square it. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, what's my leading coefficient I'm going to take out here? Leaving behind y squared minus 10y plus blank. What goes in that blank? Okay, how did he get 25? 10 divided by 2 and then squared equals negative 100 plus how many blanks? Now, be very careful. As tempting as it is to put 4 and 25, is that correct? No, what do? Multiply. What's 25 times 4? And then 4 times 25. Are those two numbers always going to be the same? No. All right, so then we factor 25 quantity squared plus 4 quantity squared equals, what does all this end up being? 100? Can anybody tell me what this factors to? X plus 2 quantity squared. And y plus 5 or minus 5? Minus. And then if this were a circle, meaning let's pretend that was a 4. If it was a circle, what would I divide everything by? The 4, to get these here cleared and have the radius on the other side. Since they are not the same, meaning it's not a circle, what should I divide everything by? The 100, because I want it to equal what? 1. All right, so x plus 2 quantity squared over 4 plus y minus 5 quantity squared over 25 equals 1. And there it is. Got it? Questions? Yes. Right here? Yeah, because when I cut this in half and square it, I got 4, but originally this wasn't a 4, it was a 100. Does that make sense? So because I factored it out, I changed what it was, and because I changed what it was, I have to put it back in order for it to work. I will tell you this, if you took this and multiplied everything by 100, and then double distributed that, got everything over to equal to 0, you would end up back with what you started with. Everything would work out exactly the way it should, and you would end up with this right here. Got it? Okay. Next one is number 8. Is number 8 another right in descriptive form? Okay. Number 8, negative 25 x squared plus 16y squared plus 150x plus 128y minus 369 equals 0. Can you guys please verify that I did copy that down correctly? Is that a yes? Thank you for checking. All right, there's 2 squares. Is there any way it's a parabola? If there's 2 squares, an x squared and a y squared, is there any way it's a parabola? Okay, one is positive, one is negative. Right off, we should know it's what? Hyperbola, because that's the only one that has 2 squares and different signs. Now, there was something, will one of you close the door, please? There was something like this on the test or a quiz where you had to rewrite it, and a lot of kids struggled. And they had it right, they just automatically put this first because it came first. When I rearrange this, what should come first, x squared or y squared? Y squared, because it's the one that is positive, and the one that's negative should come second. All right, so we're going to rearrange it. 16y squared, what's next to it? 128y, and then the negative 25x squared with 150x equals 369. All right, and then now we do our GCFs, or not GCFs, because I don't want to take out any variables, but the leading coefficient. So what do I take out here? 16 leaving behind y squared plus 128 divided by 16 is what? What is it? 8 plus, oh, what did I forget next to the 8? the y, good. 8y plus what? 16. Now will I put 16 on the other side or 16 times 16? Okay, very careful here. What am I taking out here? Negative 25, not 25, negative 25. Leaving behind x squared, what? Minus 6. Does everybody see why it's minus? Because a negative times a negative would give me the positive, 150. Plus blank. Alec, can you tell us what the blank is? Good. Can you tell us how you got the 9? Can you tell me? You said 9, right?
Yeah.
How did you get 9?
Divided by 2 squared.
Good job. Take the negative 6, cut it in half. Negative 3 squared is indeed 9. Okay. Can anybody tell me what 16 times 16 is? What is it? And then negative 25 times 9, it's going to be it's going to be negative. What do we get? Negative or positive? Why? Because it's negative 25 times positive 9. Does that make sense? Okay. 16 quantity squared minus 25 quantity squared equals, what does all that add up to? I don't know. You guys gave it to me. I took it. Which part?
286.
Oh, that's a 56. Sorry. This pen is kind of small. It was a 5, but I wrote it fast, and this pen, like, yeah, never mind. Okay. What does it come out to be? 400? Did anybody else get 400?
Yes.
All right. Factor y plus x minus y plus what? 4. X minus what? 3. And because it's not a circle, I want it to equal 1. What do I divide everything by? 400. So that gives me y plus 4 squared over what's 400 divided by 16? 25. Take away the quantity of x minus 3 squared over equals 1. Beautiful. What was that?
It looks terrible when I try that word.
Looks beautiful. To know that you can understand and replicate every single step. That's beautiful. All right. That was number 8. You guys also wanted to see number 9. Is that correct? Oh, I'm glad 9 came up. Can I move this out of the way now? Yeah? Okay. Is number 9 also right in descriptive form? Okay. 1/6 y squared minus x plus 1/3 y minus 23 over 6 equals 0. Okay. First off, how many squares? Do I have an x squared and a y squared or only one? What's the shape? Parabolas. For whatever reason, students struggle more, listening please, students typically struggle more with writing parabolas in descriptive form, and I believe it's because there's only one squared and it just fumbles them up. Before I even address that, what should I multiply everything by first, and why? She said, somebody said, who was it? 6. She's correct. Okay, why 6? Because that's the common denominator. Do you guys agree? Okay, so distribute. What's the first piece going to give us? Y squared. I heard 6 over 6. Will that become just y squared? Okay, minus 6x plus 6 over 3 would become 2y minus 23 equals 0. Okay, so far so good? All right, so here's where kids typically struggle. On all the other ones that we've done so far, we got the y squareds, and we got all the variables to one side and put the constant by itself. We did the same thing here. We got the x's together, the y's together, and the constant by itself. That's not what happens with a parabola. With the parabola, you get only the squared variables to one side and everything else to the other. So what's being squared? So we're going to get the y's to one side. So y squared, what goes with it? Plus 2y equals what's moving over to the other side. So when it moves over, it becomes 6x minus or plus? Plus 23. And that right there is where people mess up. They leave all the variables over and move the constant over. You can do that. It's not wrong. It's just they fumble up because there's no complete the square for the x. So, and that's why we do it this way, because how many times am I going to complete the square on this one? Just once. Where all the other ones I did earlier, how many times was I doing it? Twice. Twice there and twice there. I'm not doing the same thing here. I'm only doing it once. Is there a leading coefficient to factor out, Shane? No. So y squared plus 2y plus blank equals 6x plus 23 plus blank. Don't forget, a lot of kids forget that blank on the other side. Okay, cut in half and square it. What does that give us? 1 here, 1 here. Quantity squared equals 6x plus what? 24. Okay, and what does this become here? Y. Okay, before I go any further, are there any questions on any one of the steps I've done so far? Now, would you agree they're not really difficult, but when you've done so many of the other ones where you're completing the square twice, you can see why kids mess this up. All right, I'm trying to get x by itself because I wanted x equals blah, 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 blah. What do I subtract? And the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the 6x over here. And then quantity of y plus 1 squared minus 24. What's the last step? Divide by 6, divide by 6, and divide by 6. Does anybody remember how we write this instead of like the way it is? A fraction in the front as?
1/6.
Good job. 1/6, y plus 1 squared minus 4. Does that make sense? Okay. Yes. Yes, if they gave you this and said write it in descriptive form, this is what you'd end up with.
It's not going to have the one above it as an answer to
This one here? No, it's going to look like this, or instead of the 6, they might have 1/5, or 6 instead of 1/6. Or instead of 4, they might put 24 because people forgot to divide that by a 6. Okay, what unit is this? 11? Did anybody check the answer? Yes? Okay. All right. The next one is 15. Did you guys still want to see 15? Okay. 15. What is it asking us to do? Write each equation with the given information. Okay, what's the given information for 15? Vertices of -3, 6, and -3, -4, and foci of -3, 1 plus or minus root 21. Oof. Okay. Let's sketch left 3 up 6, left 3 down 4. Remember, that's what we do first here. We sketch it just to at least, because we don't even know what the shape is. Is this a hyperbola or an ellipse? We know it's not a circle because circles don't have vertices or foci. Okay, we're paying attention. Thank you. You do not, but like I just said, graphing helps you figure out what shape it is. Okay, I just made a horrible mess of my graph. Left 3 up 6, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And left 3 down 4, 1, 2, 3, -4. Okay, at the very least, can I find the center by counting my way in? Or doing the midpoint formula, which you add your x's, cut it in half, add your y's, cut it in half. What do you get as the center? -3, 1. Does everybody agree? Yes? Again, how do you do it? Count your way in or midpoint formula. Add and cut in half. -3 plus -3 cut in half. -3. 6 plus -4 is 2. Cut in half is 1. Okay. Foci. -3, 1 plus or minus root 21. Okay. This one is a little more complicated. Can you guys tell me from, what is this here? The 1, from the 1, what's this length right here? This is not the C value. I just want to know what the length is. 5. Do you guys agree with that? Yes, up 1 and then plus 5 more would give me the 6. 1 down 5 would put me to the -4. Okay, do you guys agree that right there is our center, -3, 1? From the center, how far up and down did we move? For the foci, how far up and down would we move for the foci? Square root of 21. Why do we know that? Because it's -3, 1 like the center, and then they went up and down root 21. Root 21 is bigger than 5 or smaller than 5? How do we know it's smaller than 5?
So square root of 5.
Right. The square root of 25 is 5, so the square root of 21 is going to be smaller. Do you guys agree? So, question, are the foci outside or inside? Okay, I don't really care where because that's not part. It's just to get the visual. Before you leave, ellipse or hyperbola? Ellipse. How can you tell it's an ellipse? Because of the stars. And we'll finish it tomorrow. Got it?
Get it, Donna, get it.